My name is Brianna Studley, and this is the presentation for my proposal entitled The Influence of Attachment on Prosocial Behaviors. The topic for this research proposal aims to focus on a young adult's attachment to their parents and their involvement in prosocial behaviors. Attachment to parents extends into adulthood, but there are few studies on an adult's attachment to their parents. Most attachment research is typically focused on babies and young children. A parent can influence behavior into adulthood depending on the attachment style, which explains the relevance for why an adult's attachment to their parents may influence their involvement in prosocial behaviors. The theoretical approach is based on attachment theory. Attachment theory was originally developed by John Bowlby. He stated that individuals have an innate need to have an attachment relationship with their caregivers so they can be provided with safety and protection. There are secure and insecure attachment styles, with secure attachments being the typical attachment style. A recent study found that out of 14,000 children in the United States, 60% had a secure attachment and 40% had an insecure attachment. This can be a concerning issue because those with insecure attachments lack support and form negative representations, which influences the decision to engage in prosocial behaviors. To continue with attachment theory, attachment contributes to internal working models, schemas, frameworks, and mental representations. All of these are used to organize and categorize similar information and experiences had throughout life, which then influences emotions and behaviors into adulthood. Attachment serves as a framework for morals, judgment, and the decision to engage in prosocial behaviors. Secure attachments lead to positive and secure internal working models. Qualities of individuals with secure attachments are being sympathetic, compassionate, and prosocial. On the other hand, insecure attachments lead to negative internal working models where those individuals worry about being rejected and abandoned and have trouble caring for others. The independent variable for this study is attachment. Parents and children attempt to create an emotional bond through attachment, and the attachment bond influences children and their behaviors into adulthood. Children who engage in prosocial behaviors are more likely to engage in prosocial behaviors in adulthood. Individuals who receive support from parents and have good relationships with them in adulthood have improved cognitive control, socio-emotional systems, and behavior regulation, which influences prosocial behaviors. Individuals with secure attachments with their parents have their needs met, are more willing to help others, and are more observant and reactive to others' needs. Meanwhile, individuals with insecure attachments with their parents are overwhelmed by having to help others because they fear rejection and abandonment. To continue with attachment, adults who have secure attachments with their parents are more likely to engage in the prosocial behaviors of comforting and empathizing. This is because those with secure attachments have the schemas and frameworks for how to comfort and respond to others based on what prosocial behaviors they have seen their parents engage in. Secure attachments to the maternal figure have the most influence on prosocial behaviors. Individuals with secure attachments partake in prosocial behaviors for altruistic reasons, such as to alleviate the other person's distress, while individuals with insecure attachments may partake in prosocial behaviors for egoistic reasons, such as helping to receive something in return or to be accepted by society. The dependent variable is prosocial behavior. Prosocial behaviors are positive behaviors that include helping, standing up for others, including others, sharing, being concerned, caring, comforting, donating, volunteering, being an environmentalist, and being involved in the community. Prosocial behaviors have been considered in various contexts, such as helping automatically, being asked to help, helping in the public eye, and helping when there are emotional ties. Prosocial behaviors can be low cost and high cost, where high cost behaviors consist of more sacrifices, such as dedicating time and giving money. To continue with prosocial behaviors, factors associated with prosocial behaviors and attachment are age and gender. A study found that prosocial behaviors in boys were stable until 14 years old, increased until 17 years old, and then had a slight decline into emerging adulthood, while prosocial behaviors in girls increased until 16 years old and then had a slight decline into emerging adulthood. Although both males and females had a slight decline of prosocial behaviors into emerging adulthood, females still engaged in more prosocial behaviors than males. Women between the ages of 18 and 21 have displayed higher levels of the prosocial behavior of inclusion. Women between the ages of 20 and 30 have used more enlightened means of prosocial moral reasoning than men, such as being sympathetic. This was due to differences in brain growth, maturity, and traditionally feminine emotions associated with prosocial behaviors. Continuing with prosocial behaviors, adults with secure attachments to their parents have assisted others with more empathy and compassion. They also did not have signs of distress compared to those with insecure attachments. Those with secure attachments are also more likely to be willing to help and be responsive to others' needs. Parents who overparent or excessively protect their adult children end up forming negative relationships with them that leads to attachment anxiety or an avoidant attachment style. Adult children who have positive relationships with their parents obtain their perspective on a situation and gain advice on if they should be involved in prosocial behaviors. Individuals between 18 and 25 years old who perceive themselves as having a high-quality relationship with their mother has an influence on their prosocial behaviors. The first research question is how may an adult's reflection of their attachment with their parents influence their involvement in prosocial behaviors, with the hypothesis being that individuals with secure attachments will engage in more prosocial behaviors than individuals with insecure attachments. The second research question is do men or women engage in more prosocial behaviors, with the hypothesis being that women will engage in more prosocial behaviors than men. The first part of the method section will look at participants. 100 participants between the ages of 21 and 30 will be recruited. Participants will be excluded if they do not meet the age requirement or complete the informed consent form. Participants will complete a demographic question form that will include questions on age, sex, race, and more. Participants will be recruited through various social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. Participation is voluntary and there will be no financial incentive to participate. The next part of the method section covers self-report measures that will be used. The inventory of parent and peer attachment scale will be used to measure the independent variable of attachment. However, only the maternal and paternal subscales will be used, and not the peer subscale. Each subscale contains the same 25 statements that are rated on a 5-point scale, with sample items being, I feel angry with my mother and I trust my father. All negatively worded items are reverse scored. The prosocial tendencies measure will be used to measure the dependent variable of prosocial behavior. It measures 6 types of prosocial tendencies, which include altruism, public, anonymous, compliant, emotional, and dire. The prosocial tendencies measure is composed of 23 statements that are rated on a 5-point scale, with the sample item being, I never hesitate to help others when they ask for it. The altruism statements are reverse scored and each tendency is scored separately. The final part of the method section goes over the procedure. Participants will first see the initial online posting for recruitment that contains brief information about the study. The study will take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. When they click the link, they will read the opening statement, then continue to the informed consent form, which they must sign. Next, participants will see the demographic information section that consists of 11 questions. Then they will move on to the inventory of parent and peer attachment statements for both maternal and paternal figures, followed by the prosocial tendencies measure statements. Participants will be debriefed and given the number to the crisis text line in case they feel any negative emotions after completing the study. The plan of analysis will explore whether individuals with secure attachments to their parents engage in more prosocial behaviors than individuals with insecure attachments. It will also examine gender differences to see if women engage in more prosocial behaviors than men. Data to be analyzed comes from the self-report questionnaire containing demographic information, statements from the inventory of parent and peer attachment, and the prosocial tendencies measure. There will be 6 multiple regression models for each of the 6 prosocial tendencies, which are the dependent variables, and attachment will be the primary independent variable. In all of the regression models, it will control for sex, age, race, and socioeconomic status. The multiple regression models will find the regression coefficient, p-value, and r-squared to examine the relationship between attachment, demographic variables, and prosocial behaviors. There will also be 6 ANOVAs for each of the averages of the 6 prosocial tendencies in order to test for significant gender differences for each prosocial tendency. All of the findings will be displayed using scatter plots, tables, and bar graphs. These are the references that were used throughout the presentation and the proposal.